Hello YouTube, welcome back over to GamingHouse, and we are going to bring you the review of Resident Evil Revelations 2. It has been, 4 weeks in the making because they went with an episodic kind of content thing going on there. So, also, something new I'm trying out is with reviews and all that. Check the description down below. There's going to be essentially bullet points and all that. Spoiler free also. Some minor spoilers will be discussed in this video as well. I try to keep them spoiler-free sometimes, not to spoil it for anyone. So you've been warned. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the story aspect of this game. The story starts off with Claire over at TerraSave, which if you don't know from any of the movies and all that, she works in TerraSave, which is an organization that essentially is more of a humane outfit kind of for bio-terrorist areas. They would go in and help out people, whereas, say, the BSAA is more of a military-esque unit that goes in to clean up stuff. They go in afterwards to help people if they're recovering and all that from the events, PTSD, injuries, etc. They try to help out with stuff like that. But it starts off them, they meet up. You get introduced to Claire, you get introduced to Moira Burton, who is the daughter of Barry Burton, who is the STARS member of Resident Evil 1, and he's kind of popped in and out. You see him in Resident Evil 3, you kind of like hear about him here and there, but you don't get to see him a whole lot anymore. So I was really excited that they're also bringing Barry back into this. But anyway, getting back on track, they're at a little party for TerraSave. Party gets raided by a random group of people, all tactical cooled up. So they go in, kidnap everyone. They wake up on an island now that is completely isolated and away from any known civilization. They have weird bracelets on that react to fear, change color, and all that. So once Claire and all that wakes up, she reunites with Moira, and the two begin their story together. And I'll talk about this now. I'll talk about it later. It's a separate topic. But anyway, that sums up theirs. Theirs is more of the survival horror aspect, with Claire having to find all her weapons and ammo and everything else. She starts off with nothing and works her way up, and generally I was actually fairly low on ammo at several points in the game, really worrying whether or not I was going to run out of ammo or not. Now, Barry's side of the story, Barry's actually takes place 6 months after the events of Claire's story. So while this is going on together, to try to piece together everything that's going on between these episodes on what's actually happening. But essentially, Barry gets to the island, and as opposed to what I just said about Claire's is more of a survival aspect and all that. Barry is definitely more of the hardcore kind of shooting aspect, because he comes to the island, he's got his Samurai Edge pistol that's all decked out, he's got his Magnum, he's got his assault rifle, and he's showing up ready to definitely kick some ass. And upon arrival at the island, he finds a mysterious girl named Natalia, and against for whatever better judgment of bringing a little girl with you on the island full of monsters, she comes with, and she has the unique ability of actually being able to detect the monsters on the island a certain distance away and all that. And Barry also, on top of his usual action and all that, actually has a fair amount of stealth points that he's able to do. At least I was able to do a lot better than I could with Claire. And also with the story of this one, it kind of works out like Resident Evil 2. Things you do in one campaign, or at least things you'll do in Claire's campaign since it happens first, will have an adverse effect on Barry's campaign sometimes, such as possibly destroying a rare weapon component, and opening and shutting floodgates, changing the direction of which he would actually go. You can actually use the time in Claire's episode, when exploring and all that, you might find chests and all that only Natalia can open, that you may remember later when you're playing as Barry to go back and check that area if you're not exploring, or you just know to go, I'm going to go straight here when I get here because I know there's a chest to be opened. It'll contain something useful, weapon parts, or just more BP and etc. Now, getting to what I belated before, the character dynamics. With them, of course, you're always in pairs, so you're either always playing as Claire or Moira, or Barry and Natalia, of which you can both switch between at any point in time. You're able to play this in local co-op only. There's no matchmaking or anything for that, or no live, or playing with people online, essentially. You can only play it in split screen with another person, couch co-op style. And I was gonna knock it for that, but then it gets to this point where I was rethinking it, and actually it makes a lot more sense to be playing split screen instead, because with the character dynamics is one person usually has all the weapons, all the guns, which is either Claire or Barry, and Moira does not use a weapon, and Natalia does not use a weapon. So they're both more of a support kind of role thing, where Moira able to blind people with her flashlight. She's able to use throwing objects, like explosive bottles, fire bottles, any of that stuff you could create. And Natalia is able to detect creatures. In particular, there's a specific enemy that has a weak point on it, and she can actually spot that. So it would really work out well if you're playing co-op, but playing solo, you're going to have to get used to swapping the characters really fast and all that. And that could be either a thrill for you, or when you get it, at least when you get it right, or it could be very frustrating for you to have always swapping back and forth, or at least having to always stick with the support characters, because the support characters are also the only people able to spot hidden objects in the games, which can be, again, more healing items, ammo, or BP. Getting to another thing that's worth mentioning is the environments in the area. Some of the things that people would note in Resident Evil games, like how do they feel dark, do they look good, and all that. And there's a lot of, per se, dark areas. I like the setting of the area on the island and all that. That they haven't done something like that before with Resident Evil Code Veronica and such. But the setting's great. The environments, however, they look kind of meh. I mean, essentially, graphically saying they're not that great, and I'm usually not one to harp on graphics, but it's something worth noting that the environments aren't that great looking if you're paying attention to them and not running around for your life and such. Now, there are skills in this game, and with the skills, I'd say there's a couple definite useful ones, but, you know, they're not... The mentality of it, at least now that I've gotten later on, I understand the mentality, is none of these skills make you really overpowered, say, you know, compared to Dying Light, which I've played a lot and all that, where you get leveled up and you become overly excessively powerful. These skills that you get are a lot of... There's a couple useful ones, like the AI can use their weapon finally, and the ability for the main characters that have guns can do finisher moves and all that. But none of them make you feel really overpowerful. There's no powerful skills that make you feel, make you able to really take on the hordes of this island. And it's kind of a good and bad thing, depending on how you look at it, whereas you really want skills that make you powerful, or you like the fact that the game doesn't make you overly powerful. Now, the additional things with the game is once you complete the main campaign, you unlock 2 more episodes you can play. Extra episodes, quote-unquote, there. And they essentially fill in the block between what happened within the 6-month period of what happened between when Claire was on the island and when Barry gets on the island. And it covers essentially the 2 characters, Moira and Natalia. Now, the other thing they have with this game is the raid mode from Resident Evil Revelations 1. And I forgot to mention this early on in the beginning of the video, but I never played Resident Evil Revelations 1. And I know that's a gaming sin, particularly in my books. That is a hard sin on my part, and I do apologize about that. But the raid mode returns, so you can get several hours out of that mode between choosing to level up one or many characters and to go through each increasingly difficult area to get ranked up, level up the character skills, which each character has, and to also get better weapons and such. I'm using such a lot. I apologize about that. So now, getting into a bad point of the game, particularly referring back to the character dynamics and all that, is the AI in this game is rather bad. I've had a couple times, well, I think only actually one time. I have all the episodes out, so you feel free to watch those. Like, comment, subscribe on those, you know, self-promotion. But the AI is rather horrendous, particularly when I got the unholstered skill, which allowed them to shoot. I definitely stayed as the more support character and was going to rely on them, because essentially they don't waste your ammo, so, you know, particularly if you're playing as Barry, just switch to the Magnum and stay as Natalia. But they will not shoot as often as they should, particularly in, I believe, episode 2 of Claire's. I literally sat there and stared at a guy for like 5 minutes or so, and neither the AI, neither Claire or the other character would shoot at the guy, despite both having shotguns and me not having a weapon. And often that relates to frustration, because the AI also gets hurt, so they will use up. Several times they had used up all my healing items simply because they were being a dumbass and not running away. Like, I would run halfway across the room, turn around to go engage enemies, and realize they're all still beating the crap out of my AI partner who hasn't left the area yet. Another good point for the game to discuss is, of course, replay value, of which there is a lot of course, with the raid mode just by itself. And also, if you wish to go back through the campaign, to finish off the medals, which have increased difficulty, playing a certain way and such. Also to get more BP, say if you want to unlock weapons that unlock after you beat the main campaign, or unlock figurines, or to unlock time challenge mode, or invisible enemy mode to get more BP / the experience. There's all that. There's tons of replay value if you're into that. And now, without further ado, the final verdict of the game, with everything and all that, it is a 7.5 out of 10. And, 7.5, whatever you want to call it. But it is a solid, good game on its own. It's got an enjoyable story if you're into the Resident Evil story. It's corny and all that, so if you're fine with that, it is good. If you're a fan of the Resident Evil Revelations, you'll probably definitely like this one, as it is a solid improvement from what I hear. Again, not mine, since I haven't played the first one, unfortunately. The replay value is also there for the campaign and raid mode. And in general, if you get past some of its flaws and all that, it's a pretty fun game. If you got a person to play with, definitely consider getting it if you know them in real life and all that. Considering the game is also only $40, it is a pretty darn good deal. So if you're into the Resident Evil series, go ahead and get this game, I'd say. If you're someone new to the series and all that, check out other things. I know I got videos and all that, so check out how it plays and all that. Again, for its price and all that, it's a pretty solid game. So that'll end the video here. As always, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if the video was helpful at all in the comment section. That'd be the comment part. But either way, you're welcome to come back over to GamingHouse for more gameplay and commentary.